Okay, in this video, we're going to talk about Comprehend. And like I said, this is part of a series with Amazon Connect and contact center configuration. But what I wanted to do is just quickly show you Comprehend because it's an LLP service that uses machine learning to find insights and relationships in text. And when you're on Amazon Connect and you're using voice and sound and the phone calls and the chat, everything winds up eventually being transcribed and eventually you're looking at text. And so understanding the context of the conversation or a paragraph of what a user is saying is extremely important. And under the covers, Comprehend can be used. But you can use Comprehend standalone using an SDK in your applications. And so what we're going to do is just focus on this just for a few minutes to just show you a little bit about Comprehend. Now, this video is brought to you by Home Task AI. My name is Steve Bonacontri. I'm the CTO of Home Task AI, and we specialize in home solutions associated with using AI techniques to deliver services and products, etc. Okay, so let's move forward and take a look at what Comprehend is from a high level view. Okay, so it's a real-time analytics uh, tool using existing and custom models. Now, notice it says existing and then it says custom. I'm finding myself more interested in using existing because it's out of the box, it's usable. I'm a big fan of finding out what exists before I start building something custom. But I will tell you the difference between existing and custom and when you might need one over the other. Um, so, existing models in Comprehend take your paragraph of text and categorize and classify and look at sentiments and do look at PII information and basically analyze your paragraphs of text, let's say, using existing models. Um, with custom models, basically what you want to do is say, I want something very specific. What I was just looking at recently was a latent fingerprint file system, and so what I want is something very smart that I could talk to about fingerprints and latent prints, and does that exist on AWS? It does not yet, but you can build a custom model and train it so that it could answer questions effectively. So that would be the difference. So first, let's talk about the existing built-in models. Okay, they recognize entities. um, they, in other words, they look at a paragraph and they say, okay, here's a organization name, here's a person name, this is a number, a quantity. It'll recognize entities and it'll extract key phrases and say, hmm, this is a reference to a credit card. This is something else. We'll take a look at that. It could detect dominant languages. It could say, this text is English or this text is Spanish, and etc. And it detects personal information, so it could look at phone numbers, email addresses. It could redact some of that stuff. It could point out which ones are PII information, and um, and it could determine sentiment. So a customer tells a paragraph. It calculates, um, the sentiment. A good sentiment. Parts of the paragraph might be a poor sentiment, but it'll give you the percentage of good and bad, etc. So it detects the targeted sentiment. So maybe this paragraph does say the customer is saying something good, that they were happy with a lot of services, but they weren't happy with the expense of the product or the service, and so they'll detect the target sentiment, which is good, but there could be some bad in there. So it'll give you percentages, and then it'll analyze syntax or labels. So the bottom line in machine learning, what you typically want to do is you have a problem, you have a problem domain, and you want to start classifying things. Oh, uh, this is related to a kitchen remodeling question. That's related to a driveway building service that's needed for a home. So basically, when it comes to home services, you could basically categorize and label, and then you want to train. You could even do this with video too. I found that you know, with video you can take video of a room or a problem, and you could, as you're talking, explaining the problem, you get these sound of classifying the documents, but you also get video. The video can be recognized and say, you know what, this is a problem inside of a bathtub. Obviously, you know, you could do things like that. Like I said, out of the box, you want to use as much as you can, um, and and then you want to start moving to custom models. Now, custom models over here, custom models can take entities that you define. Now, I did mention the latent print file system, the fingerprints in the criminal file system. Just Homeland Security was trying to move that over to AWS, and um, and what I decided was I needed an AI agent. I needed some AI capabilities. I needed a knowledge base. It needed to be specific for fingerprints. And the bottom line is, once you do that, you say, how do I classify a fingerprint? Um, and there's different things you could use in a fingerprint to classify a fingerprint. It's the patterns, it's the ridges, it's whatever those attributes are, the JSON attributes in a document, and then you have these images of fingerprints, and you need to recognize them, and so you're constantly okay. In that sense, I'm looking at something custom I need. I'm trying to classify, trying to categorize, uh, and I need the label. So basically, I'm like, okay, this is an this is a criminal act. Here's a fingerprint. It's not tied to any human being yet. So there's a category. Here you have fingerprints of criminals, which have a loop type of print. So you want to categorize that. So the idea is to take all your information and try to understand it as much as possible, and classify, and this way you can predict if a crime is committed. You could predict. You could look at that fingerprint that you found at the crime scene, and you could try to nail it down to an existing person, or an uncategorized person, whatever it may be. um, so that's the way I see built-in models versus custom models. And I'm always going to be looking for built-in models to do whatever I need to do, before I go and build one. Um, because you'll see that Comprehend will give me some stuff out of the box. Now, with that said, I'm going to be using an SDK, and yeah, the more accurate I need, the more custom I might want to do. So I have to make those decisions. But anyway, let's move on. Okay, so the last thing I want to say with this before we give a demo is really comprehend custom classification, custom entity recognition is extremely useful and powerful, and what you're doing is creating some sort of custom model, and you need to train it, and there's this concept of flywheels where you're retraining your data using flywheels iteratively to try to get to a more accurate model. And so what you wind up doing is saying, oh, here's a version of a model, it's kind of accurate. Here's another version of a model, it's more accurate. Let me try to enhance that and get another version. Oh, it's not as accurate as the previous couple, so I'm going to drop that one. So there's this concept of a flywheel, and then once you get what you need, there's an endpoint, and you could call an endpoint to provide that model service as an endpoint to do what you need to do. And like I said, it's you want to be agile, you want to do it right, but you got to know what you're doing and make sure you understand what you're trying to achieve. So same old story. I do see some of this stuff being very agile, but 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 still depending on a lot of the custom work that's needed. Like when you look at a simple um, uh, m- um, a model that's classifying and helping you do something, then you want to supplement that with a knowledge base, which is specific. You want to be able to orchestrate. You want to be able to do certain things, and you can do those in an agile way. But the foundation of the custom development is here. I say is here to stay, and no matter how much magic you want in automating things, it's not as magical as you'd like it to be. So, but I do agree with taking advantage of that agile stuff, which you can use and creating knowledge bases to extend what you have. I mean, that's really valuable. Okay, so that's all I want to say about comprehend. We'll go and look at a demo in the next video. Thank you for joining.